This is the primal scream of a dying regime.
Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. Houston's not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Friday, 9th of January, Anno Domini 2026. Harnwell here at the helm on Steve Bannon's War Room. Folks, we've made it through to Friday. It's the end of the week. We're all in one piece. Great show coming up for you this evening. We've got Gunther Fehlinger, who is the chairman of the Austrian Committee for NATO Enlargement, to discuss some of the things he's been saying. Gunther, welcome onto the show. Good evening to you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the invitation.
Just to say,
hello, America.
No. You're most welcome. Just to give a few words of introduction about you, we'll talk about the Austrian Committee for NATO Enlargement in a moment, but your political background is the European People's Party, which is the centre-right collective across the European Union. We criticise on the show quite a bit the EPP, as we tend to favour the more nationalist right-wing movements. And I'm very grateful, therefore, that you stepped into the lion's den this evening. Your professional background is that you were the Secretary General of SME Europe, which is the main organisation representing small and medium-sized businesses to the European Union, which is obviously something that knowing a little bit about the European People's Party, especially in the German-Austrian context, is politically taken very seriously. We've got you on the show this evening, Gunther, to discuss some of your comments that you've made on social media, specifically about your contention that if President Trump should take Greenland, then Austria should seize the US bases in Austria. First of all, we'll hear you say that in your own words right now, and then we'll come back and dig down on your thesis.
I just said very clearly that America should not touch our land and no to any kind of annexation of Greenland. And please, we will take all your bases in Europe if you do it.
That's fine. We're going to play a quick video, however, as an introduction. Stand by.
Take every single base of the Americans from Aviano to Ramstein, from Romania to all the other military bases will be confiscated and you will lose it. And the whole position of American power since World War II, if you take Greenland, you have to leave. It's very simple, Mrs. Miller. This is the leverage we have. You need these bases for global power protection. You won't have it. And we can defend ourselves very well, and we will do that without the US nuclear shield, without the US troops in Europe, without the American bases. We will simply run these bases ourselves, and we run your boys home into Chicago and Ohio. And goodbye. If you go extreme, we go extreme as well. Be sure about it.
Well, see, normally on the show, Gunther, we have people who broadly agree with the general editorial thrust of the war, and this is going to be a different type of show this evening. We're going to have some real differences of opinion. First off, perhaps you just say a little bit. We're going to dig down on what you said most recently, your most controversial, if I may, thesis. But before that, just say a little bit about what the Austrian Committee on NATO Enlargement is, and what it is that you stand for as chairman.
I'm the leading Austrian pro-American, and I want Austria to join NATO. That's why I created this committee, and I want an enlarged and strong NATO where Ukraine, Kosovo, Bosnia, and all the countries are members. And we want to have a strong, united Europe. We want to defeat Russia, liberate Ukraine, and we want actually to be very friendly with the United States and to help us and to be united together with the United States in the victory of the free world.
of course, Austria is famously neutral. How does this go down, this view, in your native Austria?
Look, Austria was liberated by the Americans and by the Soviet Union in 45, and we were divided and occupied for 10 years. Then we got our sovereignty. We had to accept, by the will of the Soviet Union, this neutrality status, but it's no longer valid, and we need to be in NATO. And the Americans would also benefit from Austria to be in NATO, and it's absolutely time for us to join NATO. It's not the majority in Austria at the moment, but I will change the public opinion, same like in Sweden, same like in Finland. And these two other neutral nations, they came to the wisdom to join NATO in 2022 because of the Russian war against Ukraine and all of us. And Austria will come as well to the wisdom and join NATO.
Austria has about 20,000 troops, I think, in uniform at any one time. And America has, I think, 1 million troops in uniform at any one time. How exactly do you propose to seize via force the US bases in Austria?
Look, there are no American bases in Austria. The American bases from World War II are in Italy, in Germany, in Turkey, in Norway, and in several other countries. So we will not seize by military means any of the bases of the Americans because you are our friends, and you will not seize Greenland because it's European territory. And we shall focus on winning the war against our enemies, Iran, Russia, Venezuela, North Korea, China. This is the normal thing. But if you do it, we definitely will cancel the status of forces agreements which you have with Germany, with Italy, with all the host nations of your military bases since the Second World War. You have these agreements, and we can question them. And don't underestimate our resolve in Europe. We will not cave in to this outrageous and unjustified demand to get our territory, because you are very welcome to base as many troops as you want in Greenland. You can invest in Greenland as much money as you want, but to humiliate us and to insist on a transfer of the land to the America is a completely outrageous thing to say, and so you shall not do that.
So just to be precise, when you said that Austria should seize by force, if necessary, US bases, you weren't literally saying that Austria should be doing this. It's more your European coalition, your European military partners. That's fine. What I want to ask you is basically on the very day, I think it was about 3 days ago, on the very day that Ursula von der Leyen, again, your political family, the EPP, the president of the European Commission, was laying down to America the unacceptability of America taking Greenland. You had the curious sight in Paris with President Macron, and you had the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and what have you, along with the two envoys, US envoys, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff. They were there underlining the absolute essential role of America in the European position, protecting Ukraine from Russia. How do you, can you say a little bit about how you juxtapose the idea that NATO could survive without America on the one hand, and on the other hand, the absolute essential role of America in helping to police the eventual ceasefire in Ukraine?
There will be no ceasefire in Ukraine because this is all humbug. Russia wants war, and Russia must be defeated. And only once Putin is dead and dusted, we will have peace in Ukraine. So ultimately, this is all a waste of time, the negotiations. Yeah? So it's very clear. NATO is about European freedom, European security, and America has guaranteed that and will guarantee that forever, because it's in your interest. It's in your interest to have stability here, because as you know very well, in the First and Second World War, you had to bring millions of soldiers in order to sort out European failures, and you don't want to do that. NATO brings stability, security, and it's a very, very good investment for American taxpayers to have that. But you're already spending close to $1 trillion every year on your military budget. And so why not help us to win this war and kick the Russians out of Ukraine? Because they shouldn't have nothing to do there. And it was the weakness of your President Obama who allowed them actually, did nothing to push back in 2014. If you would have a decent president, he would have contained the Russians back then, and we would not have all this mess and all this death and all this bloodshed. So what we need to do, stand together, win the war, and liberate Ukraine.
So you don't see any dissonance on the one hand of threatening America with expulsion from NATO over an eventual seizing of Greenland on the one hand, and the dependence on American military to face off Russia on the other hand. You don't see any dissonance in those two positions, holding those two positions at the same moment in time.
Look, we are like neighbors and friends. We are like a family. But you don't come and fuck with us, yeah? You don't get this Greenland, yeah? It's not yours. You can base your troops there. You can have the minerals if you invest in it. It's very expensive, by the way. But you cannot take other people's land. In which American city you can take the house of your neighbor by force, yeah? Is this the new standards? You cannot do that, yeah? The Greenlanders don't want it, the Danish don't want it, and we Europeans don't want it. And it's a completely ridiculous idea to do it. Yeah, we also, you remember Zimmermann when he proposed Mexico to attack? Yeah, this is a harebrained scheme. You cannot do that. And whoever has invented this debate is really trying to harm NATO, America, and Europe, and should be banned from social media. This is my response. And if you do it, don't underestimate us. We are serious people. We have honor, we have pride, we have patriotism, we are Europeans. We will not go down without a fight.
With 22,000 uniformed troops.
It's not the Austrians who will defend Greenland. It's first of all the Greenlanders, secondly it will be the Danish, and thirdly it will be all Europeans. And we will not fight the US Navy. If you really have the indecency to invade Greenland, nobody will oppose you. You can go. But we will take your military bases. We will cancel all your status of forces agreement, and you will be in an airplane back home from Aviano and Rammstein, and goodbye, America.
This is the royal we, Gunther. This is the when you say we will do this. It's Italy and France rather than Austria itself. That's fine. We're gonna back with you in just one quick moment. I want to give a quick shout out to one of the show's sponsors, Birch Gold. Let me be blunt. Gold is up around 40% this year. That's not speculation. That's reality. And if a portion of your savings isn't diversified into gold, you're missing the boat. Here are the facts. Inflation is still too high, the US dollar is still too weak, and the government debt is insurmountable. This is why central banks are flocking to gold. They're the ones driving prices up to record highs. But it's not too late to buy gold from Birch Gold Group and get in the door now. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. You don't pay a dime out of pocket. Plus, from now until January the 30th, when you complete a purchase with Birch Gold, they'll send you a copy of the exclusive Patriots Edition End of the Dollar Empire. It's a limited edition book for free. So if you want that Patriots Edition End of the Dollar Empire, go to birchgold.com. That's all one word, birchgold. birchgold.com/Bannon now to claim your eligibility. That's birchgold.com/Bannon. Okay, back now to Gunther Fehlinger yarn. Gunther, so I admire your tenacity on holding this position. If you forgive me, I really just must, however, insist on this point. There are other things I want to ask you this evening, but I must just hold you on this point. What moral authority does the European Union have? Does Ursula von der Leyen have? Does the European People's Party have? What moral authority do you guys have to say this to the United States regarding Greenland, and yet at exactly the same time, in split screen, are absolutely essentially standing next to America in defense of Ukraine in Paris this week? Sir, I don't understand how, if you feel, and many people do in the European People's Party, if you feel so strongly against the potential American seizure of Greenland, why are you standing side by side with America proudly in Paris to defend Ukraine against Russia?
I have a 30 years of public record to be the most pro-American voice in the European theater. I've been standing with America at 9/11. I've been standing with America in Iraq. I was one of the last ones, or the only one in European politics who has defended the Iraq liberation of George W. Bush. And I stand today to say that this was a rightful liberation. I stood with you in Kosovo and Bosnia, and I will always stand with America. But you know, what is too much is too much. If you then start to attack us and take our land, I mean, we are not servants or not kind of pushovers. We are proud Europeans. We have our pride and we have our history and we have our place. We are also a strong economy and we can defend ourselves if somebody attacks us. And even if by some confusion of the American president, he suddenly wants our land where he can lease it. He wants to take it militarily. This is completely unacceptable, and nobody with pride and decency would accept to submit to such nonsense. And this will simply not happen because we will not allow it.
I just want to clarify, you are quite famously known to be an Atlanticist. Okay, that's not in doubt, and I'm not accusing you of anti-Americanism. However, especially on this show, the term Atlanticist is seen as a pejorative because it's fundamentally, absolutely, it's fundamentally seen. And this is the problem with the European People's Party. It's fundamentally seen, Atlanticism is fundamentally seen as centre-right in name political groupings who are sort of rather too close to the American military-industrial complex, which obviously huge swathes of MAGA and the America First movement are very skeptical about. So I just want to make that point. No one's accusing you here of anti-Americanism, but it's your famous Atlanticism here, which is what makes us somewhat skeptic. Point one. The second point I want to ask, in your advocating, you're agitating to get famously neutral Austria into NATO, are you having an honest conversation with your fellow Austrians about the increases in taxes they will have to pay to shoulder the extra defence burden that will legitimately then fall on their as their responsibility?
Yes, you know, I'm famous for also advocating the flat tax for Austria and for the United States, by the way, as well. So I advocate for 15% taxation, income and corporate. And of course, we have to reduce the welfare state and all this migration-inducing kind of social spending, which Austria loves. This has to reduce. Absolutely. It's too much. We attract the whole world because we have such a generous subsidy system. That's not good. We must cut that, and we must reduce welfare spending, and we must cut taxes. And then we can definitely afford also an increase of security-related defense spending, and we shall. Because why should only the Germans, Italians, and Polish and Hungarians pay for our defense, and the Ukrainians pay with their blood? We must also contribute financially. We are a rich nation. We have $55,000 of GDP per capita. We are one of the 10 richest nations, so we can afford our defense spending, and we shall.
Can you tell me which country you think of if President Trump were to seize Greenland? From your perspective, which country represents the greater threat to the European Union, America or Russia?
Russia is the enemy. Russia is our eternal enemy. We don't like Putin. He has attacked us. He is evil and he is a genocidal maniac. And it's our common enemy of America and Europe and of everybody who is decent. Yeah? So America will never be our enemy. We will still love you. But if you take Greenland, you will have a price to pay. What is the price? We will not shoot at your navy. We don't even have the military assets. And we will never shoot at America. You can go take Greenland. The price is Ramstein, Aviano, and the other bases. You need these bases, but if you prefer to have it in Greenland, good luck with that one. It's your choice, but you will never fly from Frankfurt to Ramstein anymore. You will never have Aviano. And if you think about it, Naples in Italy, where your Sixth Fleet is based, will also not be yours. And we have several other less famous bases in Romania, for example, where America has considerable investments, and you will never have access to them anymore. And it will be a completely legal process. It will be not a military thing. We will not shoot anybody. Also, we are your friends. We are your allies. But we simply legally will kick you out.
No, I just wanted to underline the fact then that should America seize Greenland, you will still continue to believe Russia is the principal enemy to continental Europe. By the way, on the flat tax point, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm very much in favour of a flat tax, and if you can get it down to 15%, I think that would be excellent. Now you mentioned the migration issue in Austria, which is obviously quite politically sensitive. You said a couple of things on remigration, or which is the term in Europe, what we tend to call in the Anglosphere repatriation. Now, you said on the one hand you support remigration of enemies, but on the other hand you say that remigration is racism. Firstly, about the latter point first, tell me, what did you mean when you said that remigration is racist?
Look, I think that we should forcefully send out of our jurisdiction only our enemies. So if somebody has committed serious crimes, if somebody has committed a crime of treason, like Tucker Carlson and these people, we should forcefully send them out of our jurisdiction. They are like parasites living in our jurisdiction. They must go. Goodbye, Tucker Carlson. But if somebody is a peaceful migrant who just wants here to work and to make a little bit of income from Mexico in your case, or from, let's say, Syria in Austria, I have nothing against people who want to work and have a normal life here. Why not? Let them stay.
So the mainstream centre-right European political position is Tucker Carlson is a traitor. Yeah, okay.
I think everybody decently thinks like that. I mean, it's quite obvious.
Personally, I don't know anybody who thinks that. I would start the remigration program in a very different direction. But you have said you think that the Putinistas need to be sent to Putin in Russia.
Yes, that's a very good idea. I'm totally in favor. Mm-hmm. Everybody who is for Putin, we send him to Russia immediately. We send them on the cattle wagons, in the airplanes, off to Russia. Everybody who loves Putin, send him directly to Russia, and we see how long it takes. 3 months, 4 months, 2 weeks, until they cry, please, European Union, can we be back? We don't like Russia so much. And then we give them 5 months probation. No, that's a very good idea.
That's never going to happen. Okay, because therefore the huge absorption of massive numbers of Islamic, what we call invaders on the show. We don't call them migrants. We call them, or asylum seekers. We call them invaders. So you have nothing to say. The centre-right, European, supposedly Christian democratic political sphere has nothing to say about the invasion of Islamic third world invaders into Austria. But Tucker Carlson, right? He's not allowed. He's got to go.
He's got to go, absolutely. And when it comes to the invasion, we in Austria have a lot of experience with real invasion from Islamic countries because we had several times the Turkish army or the Ottoman army in front of Vienna, and we were always able to kick them back successfully in the 16th century, in the 18th century, and we did so. So we know exactly how that works, and we have done it. Thank you very much. Today's poor migrants, when they come even from a Muslim background, who are desperate because Putin has waged a war against them in Syria and he has barrel bombed Aleppo, and then they had to run away because Obama was so weak. Obama did all this disaster and the American power was too weak to intervene in Syria.
I don't think Jack Posobiec would allow your last statement to pass. I think it was the Poles.
He blocked me.
I think it was the Poles who lifted the siege of Vienna, Jan Trzeci Sobieski. It was the Polish king rather than the Austrians themselves. But I very much admire your fighting spirit.
City, please.
Well, I very much admire your fighting spirit. I wish only it was directed in a certain different direction. Like, I'm very grateful for you coming on the show. This isn't not your natural political home to come in and share these views. I'm grateful that you, in the time we had, offered to put them under a gentle probing. On social media, which I say you're very active, where do people go to bombard you with opposition?
I have this X account, Gunther Fehlinger, and also the YouTube page, Gunther Fehlinger Podcast. You're very welcome.
Gunther Fehlinger, Jan, very, very grateful